The COVID inquiry, which hasn't even concluded yet, but oh my Gideon. How revealing has it been already? Now we've heard from the likes of Lee Kane and Dominic Cummings, Helen McNamara. Blimey, that poor woman. The amount of grief that she's had to endure from the likes of Dominic Cummings. His mouth needs washing out with soapy water, quite frankly. A bit taken back by it, really, in many ways. You wouldn't even hear that on, on a building site. F-pigs and stuff like that, you know. It's just absolutely shocking. It's also shocking in the fact that these people are the ones running the country. No wonder we are in such a mess. Well, I don't want to talk directly about the actual inquiry itself, but it does correlate to the timeline of COVID, which I found quite interesting. So I don't know if you remember back in 2019, the first cases of coronavirus were coming to light. They've been revealed in Wuhan in China. And then on the 31st of December, China then informs the WHO, the World Health Organization, that maybe we need to do something. Yeah, they warned of this new virus, which we know called, coronavirus. COVID. Now, the 23rd of January, Wuhan in China. Some would consider to be the epicenter, where it originated from, but did it? Who knows? Well, they locked down. And didn't they just? They don't just lock down by saying, expect the people to do what they are supposed to do through instruction. They weld the gates shut to their, I don't know what you call it, their complexes, their like apartments, what have you, like blocks of accommodation. You're not getting out. We'll bring you food parcels. So they know how to lock down. So they actually got on top of it relatively quickly, but they've had other breakouts of COVID since. Well, the 23rd of January, Wuhan was locked down. On the 24th of January, the UK decided to have its first COBRA meeting. And, obviously Boris Johnson was so excited he didn't bother to attend. No. And then on the 29th of January, we had a second COVID meeting. It's like an emergency meeting, you see, where they all get together, the people in charge, and say, how are we going to deal with this? But obviously, as far as Boris Johnson was concerned, it was not important. And on the 30th of January, the WHO declares, it was a public health emergency. And we all should be ready, having our wits about us. On the 31st of January was Brexit Day. Now, 2 people died from COVID. PPE, personal protection equipment. The fiasco, it starts. Since with Brexit, preparedness and what have you, there was a stockpile of PPE. But unfortunately, it was all old. It was out of date. So, Matt Hancock and others were frantically trying to, so they tell us, source some PPE. Because the UK was running dangerously low. And on the 5th of January, Boris Johnson, not the 25th of January, sorry. The 5th of February, Boris Johnson, hard to remember all that stuff, he missed another COVID meeting. A COBRA meeting. Emergency meeting. So that's the 3rd he'd missed. It's getting a bit irresponsible, wouldn't you say? This man's the Prime Minister. And we have a national emergency and he can't be asked. Well, what we can tell from the COVID inquiry, what have you, and, well, we just know who he is as well, don't we? Boris Johnson, he loves his country, vacations and what have you. He loves his holidays, he loves partying and Russian mansions. But COVID, COBRA meetings, well, they're not important. No. He loves frolicking about. He doesn't like working on weekends. No, he doesn't work late. That's Boris Johnson. Foul individual that he is. Many people, okay, I admit, by mistake, put their faith in Boris Johnson back in 2019 because they wanted to get Brexit done. Blimey, haven't we just been done? So on the 12th of February, 45 million people could be infected with the coronavirus, with the COVID-19, according to a study. But Alexander Boris the Pfeffel Johnson, he decides he's going to skip the 4th COBRA meeting. So there's 4 COBRA meetings he hadn't bothered to actually go to yet. 4. Well, maybe he's just too excited. Considering he's about to go on holiday. Yes, Boris Johnson can go on holiday. That's where his priorities lie. With Boris Johnson and getting his end away. He does like to play around with people with polls and what have you. Jennifer Carey and... Oh no, I forgot. No, apparently it's the $100,000 that he paid us for, technical advice. Apparently. Well. So, Alexander Boris Pfeffel Johnson, the blonde Boris mutant variant. He's too busy. So busy, can't be bothered. So, Dominic Cummings, chief advisor, filters Alexander Boris Pfeffel Johnson's messages so Johnson doesn't have to bother. Besides, he never bothered reading them anyway, according to Dominic Cummings. That's one of the COVID inquiries being, well, quite enlightening in many ways, and seeing how the machine works. It doesn't. Well, February the 18th, blonde Boris mutant variant decides to skip another COBRA meeting. That's the 5th. The 5th he has not been asked to go to. The 5th. February 26th. We're told that from a actual government paper, a study. In the worst case scenario, 500,000 people could die if we did nothing. If we followed the herd immunity. We heard Patrick Vallance, didn't we? He told us that, so we're going to do herd immunity. But unfortunately, you need 60% of the population to get COVID. And that means quite a large percentage of the population will, unfortunately, die. I don't think the government cared, to be honest. No. So, 2 days later, the first deaths in the UK are announced. And we've got no PPE. Still. But don't worry. Boris Johnson's decided to get wedded. He's getting married. That's what he's going to do. During the coronavirus. Well, that's what he announced it anyway. During the pandemic. That's where his priorities lie. We can see it all, It's not rocket science, is it? Well. Meanwhile, the 3rd of March, he tells the world, tells the, not the world, I forgot, he wants to be world king, didn't he? Yeah, that's what he wanted to be. I mean, he tells the people of the United Kingdom that, you must not shake hands. Oh, But he decides to tell everybody that he's been shaking hands with everybody. Literally everybody. Scientists, doctors, nurses, shaking everybody's hands, even though he just told everybody not to shake their hands. Maybe just wash your hands. Remember that? Meanwhile, France, Italy, Ireland, they're all going full on with the restrictions on public events. Meanwhile, Alexander Boris the Pfeffel Johnson, he decides it's a great idea to encourage it and allows a horse racing event for 250,000 people attending over 3 days to go ahead, along with many other events. Let them go ahead, let them mingle. Oh, get herd immunity that way. Might not feel often, on that journey, but, get herd immunity. Politically, I'd have thought this is an extremely bad idea, let alone morally. Well, the 12th of March, Boris Johnson stops testing. Maybe he's been listening to the likes of Donald Trump. If you don't test, you have got no infections, no cases. Well, the 13th of March, Boris Johnson then goes a step further and he opens the doors, don't he, to other corona hotspots, including Wuhan. Come on, spend your money in this country. It's all about the economy, that's what he's worried about. On the 14th of March, there was 35 deaths. It's escalating, you see. Now, on the 19th of March, though, one major blunder, or was it deliberate? No, actually, I think it was deliberate. Actually, we know it's deliberate. At Hancock, Boris Johnson and all their ilk decided that was a good idea to send COVID-infected patients that are currently in hospital back to the nursing homes, for which they just spread the virus around the nursing homes and knocked them off as well. Vulnerable people in nursing homes were dropping like flies. But a letter was revealed that Boris Johnson wrote that why would we damage the economy for a bunch of old people? They're probably going to die soon anyway. People's families. That's how little he cares about you. You people who may have voted for Boris Johnson back in 2019, and maybe you still support him now. Fools, I would say. On 27th of March, Boris Johnson and Dominic Cummings, they contracted COVID. And Dominic Cummings thinks it's a good idea to get some fresh air. A good drive will do the job, so he drives to Durham. Visits the family, with the missus and the kid in tow, in their BMW. Well, not just that. They also popped into Barnard Castle. When asked about it, why were you, visiting places? Why were you there anyway? He says, I had to check my eyesight before we drove home. Well, that's what he told us in the Rose Garden at number 10. These people, eh? Meanwhile, countries like Germany and what have you, they're racing ahead with testing and PPE and dealing with the pandemic. And France. By that time, UK had 10,000 deaths. And on the 22nd of April, announcement was made. You had Matt Hancock and Honest Bob Jenerick telling us all that they've sourced the PPE and it's going to be here very soon from Turkey. Unfortunately, the PPE, it arrives. Oh, yes, unfortunately, it arrives because none of it was any good. It was so thin. It was just, well, it's bin bags. Budget bin bags with holes cut in the arms, you could say. Well, might as well have been. It's not surprising, though, considering they were supplied by a T-shirt salesman. Now, on the 5th of May, the UK had that highest death toll. And currently the United Kingdom has killed off, well, I should say Boris Johnson's government has killed off 250,000 people. I think there's about 240,000 now, but yeah, no, enough, 250,000 people. And now they kind of just dismiss it. And we have this COVID inquiry, and there they sit there. And some of them have been sincere, I think. And they're, well, very apologetic, and I think they're possibly being honest. It's Dominic Cummings, who knows? He's not a misogynist, though. No, he uses foul language with everybody. Males and females, he says. Crikey. It's just unbelievable, really. What the country's had to endure. And how many lives could have been saved. This is borderline well, it is manslaughter, I think, actually. Is it? I don't think it's even borderline about it, is it? You tell me. Leave in the comments down below, but please, boop the old like button. And maybe, well, a little bell icon, because then you get a warm fuzzy feeling in your pocket every time I upload another video. I just find this it's just disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Now, the foul language and stuff like that doesn't bother me. But you know what really bothers me? I mean, if they knew what Dominic Cummings was like regarding his language. They knew what he was like. Yet he was not reprimanded. The powers that be who would have witnessed this, no doubt they would have witnessed this. And no doubt complaints would have been made. But nothing was done. You know that phrase, don't you, that saying where, he cut a head off the snake. Well, in the day, Boris Johnson was the Prime Minister. And they're going to try and use Matt Hancock. Don't get me wrong, he deserves everything he gets, but he's not the scapegoat in this. No. Like I said. Well, you've got to look where the rot starts, haven't you? And that is with the blonde Boris mutant variant. Boris the Pfeffel Johnson. Boris Johnson. That's my feeling anyway. You tell me. Leave in the comments down below. Because I do actually read the comments, but you probably already know. I do apologise I haven't uploaded any videos recently, but I'm still doing my... Yeah, I'm halfway through it. That's one half. Yeah, I'm just doing my studio, so anyway. Blimey. It's a mess. You tell me. Toodaloo.